With Valentine's Day coming up, I thought we might celebrate the occasion here on the channel. You might have plans out there with your significant other or just chilling out with the bros and the gals, but that doesn't mean we can't fall in love with some of our favorite female characters slash anime waifus in visual novels as well. Hi, my name is August and welcome to the August Hail. And today we are going to rank all of the main heroines from all the visual novels I've read and reviewed up to this point in a visual novel best girl tier list. Now let's establish a couple of key points. I'll be covering all of the main heroines and side heroines that have romanceable routes. If a visual novel isn't like a traditional one with romance routes, I'll cover the heroines in the main cast, like for example the girls in the Higurashi visual novel. And last but not least, and the most important one of them all, this is my dedicated tier list of my own personal rambling opinion. You may revel in the fact that we may share similar interests, you and I, or you may condemn me as you disagree with my brutal opinions of some of them. But I will defend my subjectively bad taste in 2D waifus, for this is the hill I choose to die on. Because at the end of the day, you and I will stand by our beloved characters, and nobody is going to change our opinion if we're that adamant about it. That said, if you have any differing opinions on any of the characters, I would love to hear them out. If I did manage to persuade you on a couple of girls, I urge you to check them out in their respective visual novel. Links and reviews are in the description down below. And with that said, let's begin. Okay, so here is the list of all the characters so far. As you can see, there's quite a lot of them. So first up on the list we have Ageha from If My Heart Had Wings. A fun, cheerful kind of girl, quite the flirtatious one too. She's the type that will lead you on and then get into the situation where you guys are furiously making out in the rain or in the house, making an absolute disaster as we fumble around anywhere. But she does have that annoying habit of blue-balling people. I'm not even self-inserting into the main character, but I'm still mad that she did that in the route. So for Ageha, I think I'll put her in B for now, but we'll see where we are at the end. Because at the very end, we are going to take a look at the list one more time and then make some adjustments as we need. Alright, next we have Akari. Actually, honestly, a big surprise. I was expecting her to be a big stuck up in the mud for the student council president, but she mellowed out over time. I mean, come on, not letting a couple students fly a potentially dangerous aircraft in the sky because it's dangerous? Nah. Akari is alright. She's actually decent in her route, and I'm gonna forgive the fact that she's like $3 DLC. She's worth it, in my opinion. Definitely a B. She's good, but she's not that good. Alright, so next we have Aki from Baldur's Sky. Now, she definitely fits into that older, mature, super smart type of woman, which is very high in my book, but she's also got that lazy, lethargic side to her that's just still kind of alright. Her love for her brother is admirable when she's not a complete mesh. She has her high points. When she's just casual, she's just a lot to look over. I'll just have to put her at B. Alright, so next we have Akko from Making Lovers. Akko has a good position as the non-blood related little sister. She defends the main character from the overly concerned parents. She can forgive our degenerate actions. Akko can be a bundle of fun, and by fun I mean breaking the taboo in every way possible. Definitely lots of kissing in the house. I remember that a lot. She was the most horny one out of the cast, but she's still a fun, loving girl. I'll put her at a B. So next we have Akuru from Oishirabu. Now I love her design. She looks super cool. She's pretty hot in my opinion, but she's just kind of mid to bottom tier in terms of character. I don't care if she looks great and if we share the same pain of failing to roll a gacha character, but her personality was still kind of meh. And even at the very end, she barely just starts to like Ren. After like the entire visual novel, just to get on that point is just kind of meh. If you wanted to see Akuru and Ren together in the romantic relationship, you would have to buy the 18 plus DLC just to get to that point. I'll put her at a C. Alright, so next we have Amane from If My Heart Had Wings. Amane fits into that older super smart woman just like Aki, but instead of Aki's super lethargic child behavior, she just turns into the biggest airhead with a vacuum stomach. I would never trust this woman with housework at all. Sure, she might be able to save electricity by building a solar panel in the backyard, but when trying to do laundry, she'll end up burning the house down for some strange reason. Out of If My Heart Had Wings, both Kotori and Amane had the best routes. Amane is solid. I'll give it that. She gets a B. Next we have Aoi from Totino. Very cute cat girl. She's terribly misunderstood given what she's forced to do and also given her strange circumstances. I would stand by her given all the stuff that she's gone through, but at the same time, I'm also the person who chose Miyuki in the end. She's good, and no disrespect towards the people who like Aoi. It's just that I like Miyuki way more. Put her at an A though. She's solid. Next we have Aoi Izuru from Hoshizora no Memoria. So she's one of those girls that'll do a big 180 throughout her route. She's so complicated and she's more trouble than she's worth, but damn it, she had a great route and she's such a good character by the end. I really like that transformation of hers. Also, she has a face I would never want to see in my nightmare. She's one of the best girls in Hoshizora no Memoria. For that, I'll give her an A. Alright, so next we have Aoi from Summer Pockets. For some reason, I can only remember her yelling at Hairi a lot. She's very hard tsundere, but she mellows out in the end. Aoi is a fun character to be around. But at the same time, she's just, I don't know, she's just kind of there. Going off of my memory, her route was probably the most hard-hitting one in my opinion. But in terms of a character and personality, she's just kind of, alright, she's there, she's cool. But again, not super up there. I think I'll put her at a B. Alright, so next we have Asa from If My Heart Had Wings. While she's a sweet girl, I would much rather prefer her sister. Does that make me a bad person? Put her at a C. Alright, so next we have Asuho from Hoshizora no Memoria. Top tier, tragic childhood friend heroine. There's something about tragic heroines that I just really like. She's been pining for Yo's love for the longest time, and it's just painful to see her going through that, especially given all of her memories of him. Asuho is such a sweet and energetic girl, and I like girls that are passionate about their interests. It breathes life into a character. She's great. Put her at an A. Alright, next we have Atri from Atri. Such a happy-go-lucky character, whimsical robot, and she can be more trouble than what she's worth, but she's so adorably cute. Her one-to-one scenes with Natsuki is some of the best moments in Atri. It's just so heartwarming. There's only one thing men want, and it's to have a good cuddle session. She's whimsical in her action, but she means well. She's actually deceptively powerful as well by her rocket punch. Atri, big A. Alright, so next we have Ayaka from Aishitel. Truly there isn't anyone as kawaii as her, in her own words. Strong girl, very assertive in her actions, she knows she's hot stuff and makes everyone aware about it, and yet she doesn't come off as overly pompous and annoying. She's the best form of an Instagram model that has good nature and ethical morals to back it up, which is, my opinion, a rarity nowadays. Ayaka, definitely an A tier. Alright, so next we have Ayase from Riddle Joker. I love her banter with Satoru. Her two-faced attitude and her relationship with Satoru was one of the best parts of Riddle Joker. I just love their back and forth. She's also got a lot of spunk, not afraid to lash out if needed. And because of that, she's a lot more interesting than the other users of heroines in my opinion. Also, I just love her facial expressions whenever she reacts to Satoru's witty jokes. It's just hilarious sometimes. And to this day, I can still remember that confession scene. I've read that confession scene so many times, it's just really cute. While she may have A-tier boobs, she's still A-tier in my heart. I say gets an A from me. Next we have Chinami Kogasaka from Hoshizora no Memoria. If I was making an Oni-chan tier list, she would be on there, but on the far side of the universe, and yet I could still hear her voice. She's memorable for all the wrong reasons. Credits to her voice actor for making me want to claw my ears out. She really is in a tier of her very own. She's annoying enough that I want to put her in D tier, but given her entire route, compared to other heroines in D tier, she's a little bit better than that, and I want to give her that credit. I think I'll put her at C tier. Alright, so next we have Chinatsu Nagisa from Baldur's Sky. She goes from the biggest transformation from happy-go-lucky sports girl to, God, I just want some happiness every once in a while. She really doesn't deserve everything that's thrown at her. She really doesn't deserve this. Being Chinatsu is absolutely suffering, but on the other side, Chinatsu has some really cool moments in Baldur's Sky, and Chinatsu actually reminds me a little bit of Callan from Code Geass. Both of them are completely badass women. Put her at a B. Alright, so next we have Chocola from Nekopara. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of animals in general. Like, it's not like I don't like animals, but I just have the most apathetic reaction towards them. I could care less if there's catgirls in my anime or visual novels. Given I've only read one volume so far, Chocola seems just way too needy, and that's it. I don't feel too strongly about Chocola one way or another. Chocola gets a C from me, and just out of the small interactions from the other catgirls, I would probably like them a lot more. Alright, so this is going to be a last minute addition because I just happened to miss her, so I'm going to talk about Chisaki from Riddle Joker. For a side story, Chisaki had a concise and well-told story. She's such an outgoing person and a great supporting friend to Nanami as she was going through her love troubles. I also really like her open acceptance towards astrals and her disapproval for their discrimination. She's also really cute too.
おいしくな
I would put Chisaki at a B. Alright, so next we have Hatsune from Sakura no Mori Dreamers. Arguably the strongest character out of all of the cast that felt like an actual love interest. Not just by her romance route, but even in the common route, she's given some material. Given that Sakura no Mori Dreamers' romance routes are pretty bad, she's a step up. I'll put her at a B. Alright, so next we have Hazuki from Riddle Joker. Dutiful bound individual who's way more hornier than I expected. Out of all the heroines in Riddle Joker, unfortunately she's my least favorite out of all the heroines. She's not bad, it's just that the others are just so better. Also, it might be a bit unfair, but it doesn't help that right afterward, I read another visual novel that had the exact same personality, but better written. So, Hazuki gets a C from me. Alright, so next we have Himari from Fuyaraba. She is a childhood friend that's way more looted than I expected. That bat scene in the fan disc should not have been that memorable. God, she was so horny in that. But Himari is a pretty good childhood friend. She's very standard of the pack, but there's nothing wrong with fundamentals. There's nothing wrong with fundamentals if you know how to write it well. So Himari gets a B from me. So next we have Hotaru from If My Heart Had Wings. Kind of disappointing for a side route. Her route is actually really short and didn't leave much of an impression. She's alright, but she's meh. Probably put her at a D. Alright, so next we have Kamame from Summer Pockets. Kamame is the greatest pirate that ever lived. Her story actually sucker punched me more than Aoi and Tsumugi's. I honestly had a really good time with it. Her route was just a roller coaster of emotions for me. For that, put her at an A. Alright, so next we have Kanae from Iwai Hime. To be honest, all of the girls from Iwai Hime are just kinda mid. They're not really memorable at all. She's a very hardworking individual, and she strives to be independent. I think Iwai Hime is an instance of where the story took more precedence over the characters. I think that's why Iwai Hime didn't leave much of an impression on me for the characters. Like, she had some cool horror moments, but in terms of her actual personality, in terms of her likability, again, kinda mid. So, probably put her at a D tier. Alright, so next we have Kanako from If My Heart Had Wings. For how much Kanako was as a teasing flirt in the main game, she's quite the flustered individual herself. She was actually kind of cute. She's wise in terms of giving romantic advice, but she's just as flustered as any other girl. She had a very short route, but for what she was given, Unfortunately, it's not on, say, Akari's level of development. I think I'll probably put her at a C. Alright, so next we have Kaname from Real Life Plus. I felt absolutely nothing towards this character, and given I don't like the actual visual novel as well, it goes straight into D tier. Alright, next we have Kanan from Yukikoi Melt. She has the same amount of energy to create an absolute furnace. She's the most fiery girl in that entire visual novel. She's also the most horny in my opinion. Well, then again, almost all the heroines in Yukikoi Melt are super horny. I think she was the horniest one that left the most impression on me, given that they actually just started going at it before their first date, and before they actually kissed. Kanan, probably put her at a B. Alright, so next we have Karen from Making Lovers. Absolute top tier waifu, alright? Put her at an S for right now. She's prideful to the point where it's childish, but her anxiousness and fluster response round her out to be a very attractive character. And when she becomes more relaxed, seeing her flirty side is just so adorable. She's also got her own goals and aspirations she wants to achieve, so that's extra waifu points just making her go higher and higher. Interestingly enough, she's the one I see with the most realistic type of relationship from how it forms. And given that Making Lovers is all about adult romances, that's pretty high in my book. I would play Making Lovers just for Karen's route. She's just that good. Alright, so next we have Kasumi from Aishitel. Huge boobs to accompany her big warm heart. That's all I got. That's really all I got about this character. Alright, so, see. So next we have Koharu from Senran Banka. Absolutely forgettable as a side heroine route. For almost all of the Ubisoft games, I can name out all the different heroines, but she was the one I forgot immediately. Hell, the doctor in Senran Banka made more of an impression than her. D tier. So next we have Komomo from Hoshizora no Memoria, a tsundere that was trying a bit too hard to be a tsundere. Usually there's a bit of that cuteness factor that comes out for tsunderes, but her personality just feels like a classic tsundere archetype. She's got a surprisingly unique backstory, but for me, Komomo just turned out to be just not likable and very disagreeable, especially for the beginning part of her route. If I were to make a tsundere tier list, she would be mid to bottom tier, but for this tier list, I would put her at a C. Kosame from Hoshizora no Memoria, the twin sister to Komomo. Kosame is someone who picked up a Yuri incest shoujo manga and never looked back at all. Given her circumstances, I thought she would be a more hard-hitting character, but her route felt flat all throughout. Funny enough, I actually remember Komomo more than I did Kosame. Kosame gets a C from me. Koto from La Cursa Kudan. She's the type of person who I can see living her life as a trendy fashion model while also doubling as a badass crime detective. Her design is cool, but I really don't have anything else to say about her. Koto gets a C from me. So next we have Kotori from If My Heart Had Wings. My prime example for a character that does a full 180. She went from the absolute biggest jerk, bottom of the barrel, to a lovable sweetheart going to the top of my list. First half was merely the start, but she just exponentially grew and got way better. When the visual novel starts off, we see her as this antisocial, short-tempered girl, but that's because that's a result of her disabled status having a psychological effect on her, and her lack of self-confidence as well. Seeing her gradually change is just tremendous improvement on her. By the halfway point, Kotori becomes a lot more confident and passionate about the soaring club, and she becomes a great role model for the younger club members. She's still as prideful and childish as ever, but she has a positive influence on everybody. I'm debating put her on S tier. I'll put her at A tier for right now, and we'll see if my opinion changes for me to put her at S tier. Alright, so next we have Kureha. She's quote-unquote the main heroine from Sakura no Mori Dreamers, and yet she's also not that memorable at all. Again, Sakura no Mori Dreamers is one of the instances where almost all of the cast members are just kind of mid to bottom tier. Put her at a C tier. Alright, so next we have Lena from Senran Banka. Absolutely fun girl, never a dull moment when she's around. She's got great style, especially in her Japanese outfit. Also, German blonde hairs are always good points. I think she's super underrated in terms of her popularity. I think Mako won the popularity vote for Senran Banka, but Lena's just such a hidden gem for me. I honestly wish that more people would like her more. Lena gets an A tier from me. Now we have Madoka from Sakura no Mori Dreamers. The one saving grace in Sakura no Mori Dreamers, but also the person who didn't get a route, and that's super unfortunate. She's such a great childhood friend and a great supporting character. She's got that level of spunk that the other heroines never had. She's a tier higher than all of the other heroines. Put her at a B. So next we have Maho from Sankaku Renai. Maho's relationship with the main character is an instance of like two really good best friends and then they eventually just come together. Unfortunately, they should have gotten together, but the main character got cut so hard by unfortunate circumstances. I actually pity the main character because of their backstory. Maho's situation is an instance where she would have never have realized her love until someone forced her hand, that being Sheena. And it's that realization that she messed up that becomes the main driving point for her route. Out of all the characters in Sankaku Renai, Maho is at the top of my list. Maho gets an A from me. Alright, so next we have Mahoro from Sakura no Mori Dreamers. She was the supporter for the main cast in Sakura no Mori Dreamers, and that's pretty much it. Put her at a D tier. Next we have Mako from Senran Banka. Ninja girls are great, that's pretty high points. She's super teasing and playful towards the main cast, and yet she gets easily embarrassed when being teased herself. She's also a great supporting friend too. You also appreciate a girl that loves romantic shoujo manga. Mako, straight A tier from me. So next we have Makoto from Baldur's Sky. A sweet and shy girl, but I like her sister way more. She's got mind reading powers that allows her to speak freely, and that leads to lots of embarrassing moments from her. Rather than her actual route and her relationship moments, I remember her fight way more, where she spent so much time in the air and I only had ground attacks to try to pin her down. God, that fight was just so annoying. Makoto gets a B from me. She's an alright character. Alright, so next we have Mare from Hoshizora no Memoria. Super annoying most of the time, and even by endgame she was still super annoying. And her route was just kind of meant to poor tier. I'm waiting for Eternal Heart for an actual proper route of hers, but until that comes out, I just don't like Mare. D tier. Next we have Marika from Me Royally, horny on main protagonist that's also a super sweet girl that's willing to support her husband. Thankfully she met Karo and Ryusei as the first people she met on Earth because she's an airhead when it comes to Earth culture. God knows the trouble she would have gotten in if she hadn't met those two. Overall, she's pretty decent. B tier. Alright, so next we have Mashiro from Making Lovers. I think Mashiro is more best friend material than waifu. Again, this is an entirely personal taste. She's a strange and wacky character. She's probably super fun to be around. I don't know, she just kind of doesn't do it for me. This is probably an unpopular opinion. She's not bad, but for me, she's just kind of alright. Put her at a B. Mayu Hinagata. One of the very few teacher role models I like in visual novels. At least out of all the ones I've read so far. Her condition is just pure nightmare fuel. Mayu Hinagata is a DLC route in Iwai Hime, and that is a purchase you want to make. In Iwai Hime, she's the best one so far. I would definitely recommend picking up the DLC just for her. I would put Mayu at a B. Next we have Mayu Shikebe from Riddle Joker. Usopp's version of an older Onesan route. She's sweet but mischievous, wise but self-deprecating, and once she gets into that relationship, she becomes clingy and attention-seeking, and that adds to her waifu points. Also, lab coat and glasses, very good combo. Put her at an A tier. Alright, so next we have Mayuri from Flowers. Absolute beauty, but she's also very delicate emotionally. She's a great fit for Suo. I like Mayuri, put her at a B tier. Next we have Mifuyu from Sakanomori Dreamers. Mifuyu actually has a romance route that ties in some leftover horror elements to it. She's got that cool swab personality to her, and yet she's also got that strange smell fetish of hers. Other than that, she's meh. I'll put Mifuyu at C tier. Mion from Higurashi. A complete badass in her pure tactician abilities, devoted to her friends, and absolutely adorable when her girlish side comes out. And when she's acting as the heir to the Sonozaki clan, she gives off that very intimidating vibe, which is pretty awesome of her. Put her at an A. Alright, so next we have Misaki from Fureraba, an innocent and soft-spoken girl with moe charms that just go through the roof. Misaki's route deals with everyone's preconception of her, but she's just an average normal girl at the end of the day. She's cute. Put her at a B tier. Alright, so next we have Mitsuki from I Walk Among Zombies. The best character out of sheer obligation towards actual character building. The Stockholm-esque syndrome is kind of a turnoff, but she pulled it together in the end. She could probably be way more independent, but she just kind of falls into that, I love the main character because he saved me. I would put Mitsuki at a C. Next we have Miyako from 9 episode 1. Adorable girl, quite refined, but a very down-to-earth type of person. She's got a great sense of duty when it comes down to the wire, and that's admirable. She's really good at housework and saving money, and that's like waifu points. Also, her power allows her to teleport cum out of her, and that blew my mind. It's super strange, but also unforgettable. B tier. So next we have Miyuki Sono from Totino. Now I'm being totally biased here. I spent a lot of time with Miyuki in the second half of Totino, and despite her yandere tendencies, it was that time I spent with her that I found very captivating and attracting. In the literal sense of the word, it felt like Miyuki and I were meeting face to face the entire time. And in the grand scheme of things, Totino manages to make her a sympathetic character despite that second half, due to how the visual novel presents her as both pitiful and understandable. She's the one I chose in the very end, despite everything that's happened. Put her at A tier. Alright, so next we have Murasame from Senran Banka. She's got that regal deity god personality to her, but she's also an adorable childish girl as well. And also, she's got some really adorable scenes. I still think back to that head patting scene. Murasame, A. Next we have Nanami from Riddle Joker. Great sibling relationship between her and Satoru, and the one taking care of the latter mostly. Her little sister points are through the roof when taking care of her brother, even outside of her route. She may call Satoru a degenerate siscon, but deep down she's equally the same way. You will never find a girl that'll suck you off and proceed to heal your dick for multiple rounds. Nanami gets an A from me. And next we have Nanaru from Sankaku Renai. She has the same vibes as Nanami, albeit a bit more brash and unfiltered than Nanami, but still loving all the way. She embodies the sibling energy of owning each other as a sign of love. She's also deeply passionate about her anime-loving hobbies and idols and revels in that, sharing her love. Put her at a B. Alright, next we have Nanoha from Baldur's Sky. You think a childhood friend character separated by dystopian warfare would be a more pulling and attractive route? Unfortunately, her conviction wasn't enough to pull me over to her side. Besides, someone else beat her in that category anyway, in terms of star-crossed lovers. I would put Nanoha at a B. So next we have Neo from Loca Love, Volume 2. As much as I love a girl with thick thighs, and thick as in with extra C's, she's still the same in terms of actual rating as well. Neo gets a C from me. Rain from Baldur's Sky. Devoted girl to a man on the job, great support, absolutely had Ko's back no matter what shit went down, and a girl that will actually die for you. She's such a badass, and she's got the style to boot. The same people who like Rain from Baldur's Sky would also be the same people who like Risa Hawkeye from Fullmetal Alchemist. Rain is the first route in Baldur's Sky, and after her route, she doesn't get that much focus dedicated to her, but I really wish they gave her some more badass moments. Rain gets an A from me. Alright, so next we have Reina from Making Lovers. Her relationship with the main character is that classic teasing mischievous underclassman towards the senpai dynamic. I'm a fan of this ship, with my favorite pairing being Hachiman and Iroha from My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu. She's a hardworking individual living her life as a student and a model. Her route, kind of middle of the pack, especially considering all the other girls in Making Lovers. Reina, I'll put you in the B tier. Next, we have Ren Furutachi from Oshirabu. Ren's quite the loving girl, however, their relationship feels very one-sided just on Ren's part and not enough on Akuru's part. Because I feel that Oshirabu was too short for me to get attached to her. I really wish there was some more back and forth between Akuru and Ren. And for that, Ren gets a C from me. Rena from Higurashi. Cute, honest, and sincere. Another great loyal friend to hang out with as well. While it's not shown off much, her stern attitude at times when supporting her friends gives her extra points in my book. Rena gets an A from me. Next we have Rika from Higurashi. The sheer perseverance packed in that tiny body is impressive. While she can be a pessimist, she was able to pull herself together using the power of friendship and the ability to put her faith in her friends. Out of all the cast, I think I like Rika the most. The biggest wild card also is her adult voice. That's just pure ASMR. Deep, calming, mature older woman voice with a tinge of sadism in there. It's just such a great voice. Rika, A tier. Next we have Rika from Flowers Volume 1. Rika is a very calm and serious type of girl, like a motherly caretaker. She's also one to take the initiative, and despite Rika's actions in Volume 1, I can forgive her since it was done in the pursuit of her love. I give Rika a B. Next we have Rina from Fureraba, a bundle of fun, but also holding a lot of internal baggage. She's the type of person that needs reassurance every once in a while. She's the truest form of best friend turned lover in Fureraba in my opinion. There's that level of intimacy two people can get after knowing each other for a long time. It just needs that small little push to get the ball rolling. Rina is my favorite girl in all of Fureraba. Gets an A tier from me. Next we have Ruria from Iwai Hime. Ruria has such an interesting story theme to her, and it's such a compelling idea if they just tapped into it more. However, since we're talking about just character and personality, she's not that charming in my opinion. C tier. Next we have Roka from Senran Banka, older One-san who wants to take over her family's shop while also serving as a cafe waitress. Pretty good. I think that she should have gotten the full route in Senran Banka, but I guess we got that out of Mayu and Riddle Joker. A tier. Saki from Making Lovers. Quite the refined older lady, but doubles as a person who has absolutely no romantic experience. She was also the most relaxing heroine out of the cast. And it was enjoyable seeing her and the main character slowly grow into their relationship together. Saki, A tier for me. Next we have Sakia from the Kursikudan. As a main character, didn't make much of an impact on me. I can't tell if it's my lack of interest in butch female characters, or just her character in general, but together, definitely doesn't do it for me. Gets a C tier from me. Next we have Sanai from Fuck Me Royally. Absolutely scary maid. Could suck the life out of you. Goddamn near changed a man in the consensual and yet non-consensual way. Gets a C from me. Satsuko is a mischievous little child who really shouldn't have to go through all that traumatic stuff as a young age. And while I'm in the midst of watching Higurashi go, she really cares about her friends. Quite a lot. Not as good as the other characters. She's an alright addition to the cast. B tier. Next we have Sayaka from I Walk Among Zombies. Volume 2, best part about her. Everywhere else, terrible. While she's a doctor in the story, she's the one that needs the most treatment. Volume 3 just absolutely kicked her character development down the drain. Volume 2 is where she really shines, but Volume 3, they just kicked her down. She gets a B from me. Next we have Sheena from Sankaku Renai, otherwise known as the resident eroge lover in the cast. She's unpredictable in her actions, which makes her seem pushy. However, you can sense that small trace of social anxiety inside of her. She's the same type of person who can be her true self around her closest friends, but very shy around strangers. Unfortunately, she's not my favorite, but she's still a very good girl. Sheena gets a B from me. Alright, next we have Shion from Higurashi. I love Shion and her yandere nature. The Makashi arc was so good. I just loved reading that arc and everything from her perspective. She's such a strong, loving character, and she's quite devoted. Find you a girl that will love you just as much as Shion loves Satoshi. A tier. Next we have Shiori from Aishitel. Probably the most threatening one out of the cast, as the resident yandere. While she's shy and modest, she's not afraid to assert herself in regards to the main character. And even against the 4 other heroines that are trying to pine for his attention, she can still hold her own. I'll put Shiori at B tier. Alright, so next we have Shiraha from Summer Pockets. Her route was more of a journey of trying to overcome their internal difficulties. Shiraha acts very antisocial and distant most of the time, but gradually she starts warming up to the main character as she fits into her role, and that gradual warmth made me like her more and more. I would put Shiraha at a B. Next we have Shirohime from Atabana Odd Tales. I would file her under Book Girl. She's quite a passionate dreamer of stories, deeply curious, and very thoughtful towards others. And not while cruel or emotionally gripping, she had a concise and well-told story. She's a good protagonist. I would put her at a B. Shizuha from Sadistic Blood. She is the M to Yuna's S, and we'll get to Yuna later on, but in terms of just Shizuha, purely by herself, she's just very passive and a non-aggressive heroine. I would argue that Yuna's more the active protagonist. Again, that doesn't leave much of an impression about Shizuha. It also doesn't help that there isn't much backstory to her at all. Shizuha gets a C from me. Next, we have Shizuri from Yukikoi Melt, otherwise known as Shizuri Sweats a Lot. That's it. All I got to her. C. Alright, so next we have Sora from Baldur's Sky. Short-tempered, stubborn, a bit of an airhead, and a tsundere all at once. But Baldur's Sky is a long game, and over time, she gradually won me over with her charms. And in Baldur's Sky's True Route, she really just sells that cross-starred lovers really well. Sora gets an A from me. Next, we have Sora from 9 Volume 2. Little sister character that would easily take advantage of you, but you would still lovingly dote on. It's like that situation when your little sister asks you to go get something for her, and you say no, but then you proceed to go get it anyway. Sora has great back and forth dialogue when talking to her brother, and the dialogue she uses is just absolutely hilarious. Also, the H scenes, they are just unforgettable. If you've played Sora's route, you know what I mean when I say paper bags. Sora's A tier. Suo from Flowers Volume 1. Classic shy book girl that really just wants to make some friends, but she's also a lesbian disaster at the same time. She's a really caring and considerate person who really just wants to understand people. Her slow, gradual process to improve herself is relaxing to watch, but also very anxiety-inducing due to her relatability as a nervous introvert. She's not the most active protagonist, but get her into a book discussion and she'll light up. Overall, pretty decent. B for me. Suzu from Tenkaku Renai. Great gap moe between adorable blood-related sister and hidden cold-blooded killer. Suzu leans towards the more loving, affectionate type of little sister, but she's still as wacky as the regular cast with her knowledge and love for action-adventure anime, which makes her really unique in that regard. Suzu, I approve of her. Gets a B from me. Taruhi from Yukikoi Melt. Out of all the characters in Yukikoi Melt, I enjoyed hers the most. Mostly because of her playful banter with the main character. She's also got some great facial expressions as well. I can still remember the time she KO'd a classmate and gave me a bad ending. Those are just the highlights of her route. God, that had me laughing. Taruhi is alright, but then again, Yukikoi Melt is just an average game overall. Taruhi gets a B from me. Next on the list is Toei from Iwai Hime. Toei has a strange situation because of her backstory, because if you really think about it, and you'll get this if you read Iwai Hime, we don't really know her true personality throughout the main story. She's an unfortunate case of where the story overwrites her personality to be a damsel in distress, and after the main events of her story, she gets little development time for herself. It's really polarizing just to think about how I feel about her as a character. I would put Toei at a B. Alright, so next we have Tokikoi from I Walk Among Zombies. Well, let's see. Would I prefer a lifeless zombie girl or an Onoho? Because they're literally the same thing. I would put her at a C. I don't hate her, and that's the reason why I'm not putting her in D, but that's as far as she'll go. Toko from the Curse of Kudan. Hot damn, she's kinda hot. Her character designer makes her look so refined and pretty. That's all I got about her though. I don't have that much of a strong opinion about her. Put her in C. I may like a character's design, but I want some character development. I want some personality. So next we have Tsubakiko from Iwai Hime. Now, in Iwai Hime, all the heroines have some sort of flaw that gives them nightmares. However, for her, if I remember correctly, her internal flaws doesn't match up with the external conflict that was given to her, and it felt extremely forced because of it. Her personality isn't that memorable at all, too. Gets a D. Next, we have Tsumugi from Summer Pockets. Simply put, I wasn't moved by Tsumugi's route at all, and she really didn't pull me at all with her personality. I'll put her at C tier. Vanilla from Nekopara. Like her name, she's very vanilla. Considering I've only read volume 1, her character feels like an afterthought and she's always following Chocola's actions. Not that great in my opinion. D. Next we have Yoru from If My Heart Had Wings, the twin sister to Asa, and the one with spunk. Actually, I think I like Yoru mainly because she just feels so different from the rest of the main cast. She's got quite an attitude on her, but she gives such a pragmatic opinion to the idealistic dreamers in the Soaring Club. I'll put her at a B though. Alright, next we have Yoshino Yamabuki from Aishito. This girl is nothing but a shambling, flustered mess. She's just so indecisive when it comes to her love. Thank God she finally rounded out at the very end and she doesn't get teased as much. You're pretty much there for her teasing moments and her development to not get teased as much. I'll put her at a B. Yoshino from Senran. Okay, first off, white-haired heroines are always high in my book. She's dedicated to her duties as a shrine maiden as a cool and collected person. I actually prefer her development in the common route rather than her actual romance route. She develops from a standoffish person to an actual friend despite their forced marriage situation because of the curse on the town. and the common route focuses on that a lot. Her romance route feels like just an afterthought, so I would put Yoshino at a B. Yui from Aishitell. For a Kohai student council president, Yui is the blandest out of the entire cast in Aishitell. Sure, that rich but actually down-to-earth background is nice, but compared to the more crazier personalities of the other heroines, she just falls flat. Put her at a C. Next, we have Yuika from Sadistic Blood, the glasses-wearing hunter girl dedicated to hunting vampires. Like with the other girls, she doesn't have much of a background either. Doesn't even have that many cool moments in the story beside being torn limb from limb. D tier. Yuki from Yukikoi Melt, the princess that absolutely loves snow and everything about winter. But for someone who escaped the upper north in exchange for the tropical weather, she was not going to convince me of the joys of winter. In terms of her route, lots of cuddling, steamy meat buns, and darling. Pretty much sums up her entire character. Put her at a C. Okay, Yume from Hoshizora no Memoria. Yume, I was really looking forward to her route. After many routes later, Yume was the goal to strive for. She seemed like such a fun character to hang around. Unfortunately, that ending left such a bad taste in my mouth that it ruined my impression of the whole game. I'm waiting for the Eternal Heart in order for a proper route, but for now she's just stuck in that limbo. Yume gets a B from me. Yumemi is a girl that will remind you that despite the hellhole Earth can be at times, she will remind you of what humanity can achieve. She is the heart of this visual novel, and Planetarian will not work without that dynamic between Yumemi and the Junker. Her compassionate attitude really comes across, and it's what sells Planetarian. I would give Yumemi an A. Yuna from Sadistic Blood. I really like her design. Unfortunately, my heart belongs to another sadistic blood-sucking vampire. Yuna's at the bottom of the pack in comparison, but that's through no fault of her own, but rather through the story's short length. She gets a C from me. And last, we have Yuzuyu from Fuleraba. Very hard Sun. Overall, I just think she's just not a nice person. Foul mouth, extremely disagreeable, very snappy, and a bit sexist as well. To the point where I'm wondering if it was even worth it just to get to her dairy side. I never really left her route with a good impression. I don't remember an instance where she held back and showed any development at all. Yeah, sure, she's a tsundere that gets isolated because of her personality. I just don't remember having a fun time with her at all. She just kind of felt like a big jerk in retrospect. So I would probably put Yuzuyu at a C. Okay, so after lots of careful deliberation and many minutes of thinking about it, I've reorganized the tier list. And by that, I mean everything B downwards is completely fine. I was just restructuring the A to figure out if I was going to put anyone at S. And as you can see, Karen's the only one. So how I came to this conclusion was by organization. I was going to take everyone in A tier and organize them in tiers. We have your upper tier, you have your mid tier, and then you have your bottom tier. Essentially your A+, your A, and your A-. Now additionally, it's not necessarily this person individually is better than this person, it's merely a range. And even at the very end, the A's are fine where they are. Sure, my mood can fluctuate any day of the week, and I've thought about putting my high A's in the S's multiple times, but without a doubt, Karen is the only one who in my mind is S tier. Great character design, attractive personality, good story route with a great balance in comedy and plot narrative that fits her perfectly. She 100% takes that spot in S. And to conclude, like I said before, all the heroines and their respective visual novels are in the description down below in addition to their respective reviews. And as always, subscribe if you like the video.